September 20th of 2019 was the release date for the iPhone 11 Pro, and I've been using mine ever since that day. So over the past few months after dailying this phone, my experience so far has been positive. Somewhat positive. So it's not perfect. And now since it's a new year, iOS 13 received new features, new improvements, so I think now would be the perfect time to give this thing the proper review that it deserves. So if you are considering to possibly picking up the iPhone 11 Pro, here are all the important things to really know about. So the design, from the screen point of view, looks identical to the iPhone 10. It still has a gorgeous display. The Oled Display is still probably one of the best displays I have yet seen on any iPhone. And it doesn't suffer the burn-in effect that some OLED displays on smartphones usually experience after a few months. Face ID was something I immediately noticed after upgrading from an iPhone 10 to this. It's more responsive, it's fast, and can detect your face even at some odd angles. Where before, I remember on my iPhone 10, if I placed this like on a flat surface, I had to literally be above it in order for Face ID to identify me and unlock my device. Now with the iPhone 11 Pro, I can just go at an odd angle like so, make eye contact, and it just unlocks. And it's also really fast too when it comes to identifying me. So besides the screen part of things, on the backside is where we see the major redesign. And the color, as you can see, is midnight green. That's the color I went with. It's one of the new color options available. Space gray, gold, and even silver is still available. But honestly, the midnight green honestly became my new personal favorite color. I received a lot of compliments in public whenever I have this phone around, and isn't really as green as you may think. It somewhat has like a black or a dark silver color, but in direct sunlight, it's midnight green. The new camera housing, at first I know a lot of people weren't really too hot about it, and got to the point where this is now the new norm, and I think society accepted this thing for what it is. I think this is a lot better than just one giant piece of lens right there with dots where the cameras are. Having it all separated like that, I think just gives this phone a better look. Now the frost glass back was one of my biggest concerns, and so far has been holding up really well. There's no micro scratches or cracks of any kind on this back glass. It's not really a fingerprint magnet except for the center Apple logo, which also is new this year for these generation iPhones. The Apple logo is now in the center, then slightly on top. And I think I do prefer the center look than how it used to look like. Now, a big question that I always constantly get about these latest iPhones is the question regarding why I should get the iPhone Pro instead of the iPhone 11. And my answer to that is always three things. You see, don't get me wrong, the iPhone 11 is an amazing phone. It performs just as well as the iPhone 11 Pro, and the Pros are the only two that actually have 4 GB of RAM, but the iPhone 11 only has 3, but it still performs really well, as Geekbench shows that they perform pretty close. But if you are somebody that enjoys doing a lot of photography work, videography, having that higher resolution display that's on the Pro iPhones, and since it's an OLED display, it has better color accuracy compared to the Liquid Retina LCD display, is a must-have. And since the iPhone Pro does have a third lens option to take photos, it has a telephoto lens, 12 megapixels. That gives you more choices to get creative on some of your shots. So if you create a lot of content, or even view a lot of content like on Netflix, Disney Plus, at the highest resolution, then you may find the OLED display a better choice for you, since after all, you'll be viewing all that at a higher resolution. And if you enjoy dark mode as much as I do, with an OLED display, remember, the pixels actually turn off, giving you a real dark look, and that looks fantastic on the iPhone 11 Pro. It also allows the phone to blend in the notch as well. Now I also like how much brighter this display is, especially when you're taking photos or recording a video outdoors in the direct sunlight. You could view the screen no matter the condition. And speaker wise, yes, these latest generation iPhones did receive Dolby Atmos. Now if you're coming from an older iPhone like I did, I definitely noticed the improvement in sound. It's a welcoming innovation, but it's still, at the end of the day, it still is a cell phone speaker. So if you want to listen to music from your device, let's say you set your phone down at a corner somewhere around the room, I think you're better off connecting that iPhone to an external speaker. But when it comes to general stuff like asking Siri questions or having a phone call or maybe FaceTiming, these speakers will get the job done as well. Now you may have noticed the stainless steel body around the trim, the edges of this iPhone survived very well throughout the months. The midnight green color is unmarked, unscratched. There's no dents or anything like that around the edges, nor is there any signs of frame damage. The sapphire glass over the camera lens are scratch free. So with that said, I mean, there is still a couple of things I wanted to talk about though. The display, you may have noticed I have a tempered glass screen protector now. I put this on because after the first and second month, I noticed I started getting hairline scratches on the display. You can still somewhat see it through the transparent tempered glass screen protector I have on. So to prevent more from happening, I just put on a screen protector. So even though Apple markets this as the world's strongest glass on any smartphone, it's not scratch proof. It could be really durable. I don't really want to test that out, but at the end of the day, it still is glass. You can still shatter this if you're not careful. But now let's go ahead and talk about the battery. Although my phone isn't the max version that has a larger battery, the battery size that's on just the standard 11 Pro is really impressive and can actually last me all day. One time I remember I took this thing on a road trip, but I didn't touch the phone at all, and under a single charge, it made it throughout the entire day. But in certain days where I'm actually using my phone from 7 a.m. all the way up to 5 to 6 p.m. that's usually typically when I find my phone at 20% battery life remaining. After that, I could either charge it or put it in low power mode to preserve as much battery as possible. And this will last me like another 2 or 3 hours if I don't touch it at all. But when I do find myself at 20% battery life, I like that a fast charger was finally included, this time for just the iPhone 11 Pros out of the box, because it makes a really good option, especially when you have to go somewhere on a late notice. At 20%, a good 20 minutes of charging would typically be enough juice to make my phone last another 6 hours. Wireless charging is also an awesome way to charge your device, especially if you have a setup so where if you're working or studying behind a computer, you can simply just rest this on a wireless charging pad and get as much juice as possible during that period. So this iPhone does have a Bionic A13 chipset that's found on these latest iPhones, and to this day it still is performing strong even after all the patches and updates. I never had a problem where I felt like this phone was slowing down, lagging, stuttering. Navigating the screen is quick and snappy. Multitasking even is really responsive. If you power off the device and turn it back on, it literally takes under 30 seconds. I even find playing mobile games enjoyable on this machine. Even if you play high demand graphics intense games like Call of Duty, I'm still surprised that we are at a point where we could play these type of games on our phones. And to those who were previously concerned about iOS 13, I know in the past it was known to have a few bugs here and there, so it was somewhat buggy. But now, from those previous updates, all these issues and concerns are now resolved. New features like audio sharings work really well. The new shortcut on the video camera app where you can switch and change the resolution right there on the display works really well. Now you don't have to go into the settings, so this was a really welcoming new tool. Deep Fusion, when you're taking photos, come out looking incredible. Really does capture a lot more detail in texture, and overall the camera quality when you're just taking photos on the go looks really good. But where this phone really does shine, even on the 11, is that new wide angle lens. It has some amazing stabilization, almost like a GoPro. While holding this phone by hand, running at max speed, it looks like I have this phone on a gimbal. And when you're taking a photo and you find it somewhat challenging to capture the subject, switching between lenses just by tapping on the screen is really amazing. Then let us not forget about the new night mode. Even in a really low light environment outdoors, this thing takes some incredible looking shots. Even better than my Pixel 4. The Pixel 4 always gave like my photos like a weird tint. And then HDR still looks good too. So I really don't have anything negative about the camera lens, just besides when you're recording, sometimes when the transition between one lens to the other sometimes jumps and ruins the shot. And another complaint that comes to mind is that night mode isn't supported on the wide lens. Hopefully in the future Apple could innovate that on a future update, maybe iOS 14, but I don't like that the wide angle lens doesn't support this yet. Hopefully maybe in the future if we cross our fingers, who knows. And also don't forget, all 4 of these cameras on this phone can shoot at 4K at 60 FPS. That is mind-blowing. That means including the front-facing camera. So if you love to take a lot of selfies, or you're trying to record using the front-facing camera, you don't suffer any resolution loss like some other phones typically would. So, conclusion time about the iPhone 11 Pro. Is this thing worth getting in 2020? Well, let's first discuss. We already know during the fall time, Apple is going to unveil their next generation of iPhones. But after owning this phone for over 4 months now, I already have a general idea of what's available in today's market, and this phone in today's day still has to be one of the best phones in today's market in both performance and camera quality. Apple really did a fantastic job on this generation of iPhones. So I'm sure if you're somebody who has an older iPhone or any old phone, you're going to be really satisfied if you pick up these latest generation iPhones. But do consider to get the Pro version, especially if you do a lot of content creating. The Oled Display that's found on the iPhone 11 Pro and the Max is an excellent tool to have for not just color accuracy, but also for viewing content on the go. The higher resolution display will be easier for your eyes and will make the entire experience more enjoyable. Now, if you're stuck deciding between the regular size iPhone 11 Pro like this one, or the Max, honestly just get one that you're comfortable holding one-handed. If you have larger hands, yeah, go with the iPhone 11 Pro Max. But for me personally, the reason why I went with this size iPhone than the Max is because I'm a very active user. If I had a larger screen phone, which I tried it once, it's really uncomfortable around my thighs. My thighs will probably end up bending it because I do a lot of running, and when I run across the field or if I'm out playing soccer or football, having a larger phone in my pocket while doing those type of activities is just really uncomfortable, and I might crack or damage the device. So the regular iPhone 11 Pro size option was the right choice for me. So again, it's really all just personal preference. Another benefits I can see from the Max version of this phone, if you rely on your phone for map navigation while you're driving, seeing the street signs and all that stuff will be definitely better on a 6.5-inch display than a 5.8. Alright, that's gonna be it for this video. Slightly longer than I anticipated. But if you're wondering what type of accessories I have for my iPhone 11 Pro, I go ahead and cover all that in this video right here. You can go ahead and watch that. And then this video over here, that is a video that YouTube is recommending specifically for you. They say you're gonna like it, so go ahead and click on that. Comment down below and let me know if YouTube was right. Anyway folks, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you all in the next one. See ya.